Hi there, knife people. Hello, lady and gentlemen. I am CBRX, and you are probably wondering, why am I twirling this dagger, and why is there a forest of fixed angle sharpeners on my bench? The answers to these questions are coming up. Together, today, we will determine for 2025, which is the best fixed angle sharpener. This is XARILK Gen 3. And just like all these 5 sharpeners, it's available on Amazon. That has been my go-to sharpener for over a year now. And it is an almost exact copy with some improvements over Prof Kadet seen here. I talked about those improvements in a comparison video that I did a while back. Over here, I have a sharpener brand new to me. This is called KetiPed Sharpener. I call it KP for short because I have no idea what KetiPed means. Let me know if you do. Right here we have Worksharp Professional Precision Adjust. I call it WSPPA for short. WSPPA. And finally, this is Worksharp Unprofessional Precision Adjust. Just kidding, it's called Worksharp Precision Adjust, WSPA. Now that we covered the sharpeners, I'm going to talk about what is the task that I'll put them through that I find to be most challenging. If you ask somebody who is just starting out in the fixed angle sharpening realm, what is the most difficult blade for them to sharpen, the opinion will be split between it's the biggest, longest blade, or it's the widest blade, or it's a thickest blade. On a fixed angle sharpener, you are limited by your clamp, and that limit constitutes itself more in the narrow long blades than in the wide short blades. And that's why I picked this Benchmade 185 SOCP dagger, because it's narrow and it's long enough to demonstrate my points. The narrowness of a blade is the main limiting factor, but the thickness as well, because not all the clamping devices that are provided with these systems can open up wide enough to accommodate a blade. Here's my Medford USMC fighter knife, and the thickness here is 255 thousandths, just slightly over a quarter of an inch, or 6 millimeters. So there is no way this knife will fit into this clamp. The lips of the clamp, this fish lips here, simply don't open wide enough. I cannot recommend this one because it will not fit a 1/4 inch blade. What about Worksharp Professional Precision Adjust? With the proper adjustment, it will accommodate at the limit of its opening, it will accommodate a 1/4 inch blade, as you can see. So for now, it stays in the competition. Prof Kadet, it will take a 1/4 inch blade. Here you go. These jaws adjust just enough. I would actually go with a longer screw for this one job because you want a full thread engagement once you clamp them. Other than that, it's capable of accommodating a thicker blade. XARILK, spelled with an X but pronounced XARILK, does accommodate the 1/4 inch blade. And finally, this KetiPed or KP takes Medford blade with a room to spare. Here I placed the dagger into the WSPPA clamp, and I'm going to use this setup to illustrate the challenges with sharpening narrow blades that are also quite long. I marked the edge of the clamp with a black marker, and with a blue marker I marked the edge of the knife. This is a WSPPA universal plate mount, and I'm going to see if I can find the angle on the mast here that allows me to match the factory edge along the entire length of this blade without actually removing material from the lip of this clamp. So as you can see, I got plenty of room here. I am not even close to touching. And this is one of the advantages of this system. because of how short the clamping device is in this direction and how tall the mast is, it gives you this range to the upside of the angles. So what's the biggest challenge with this type of devices? Fixed angle sharpeners are only fixed on the sections of the blade that are parallel to the edge of the clamping device. But as soon as you get to a curvature, the angle starts changing because the distance of contact in XY direction is changing. This device will work with one caveat. I have several videos on how to fix wobbles and shakes in this device. And they're all right in front of you. There's a zip tie here, zip tie there. And I had to replace the nylon bushings inside the plate carrier with the bronze ones. All these mods are shown in the videos on my channel. But even with all these mods, right here, there's still a radial play in the clamp, in the clamping mechanism. So to accommodate for that, I came up with this little simple fix. This is a magnet with a bolt, and there's obviously a video. There's a whole playlist of videos. So I adjust it to the blade and sharpen it like that, and then it's easy to move. When I flip the blade, I can move it on the other side. So this device requires this little simple addition to work properly. Next, we're looking at TSPROF. TSPROF and XARILK Gen 3 don't have this issue because they have positive clamping, making the connection between adjustment mechanism and the mast, and then mast to the rotating clamp bracket rock solid. So you will not get the same wobbles as on the WorkSharp devices. Here I am trying to find the factory edge angle by making adjustments and checking for telltale on the blade. What I'm shooting for is marker removed from the entire width of the bevel. So now that I'm removing the marker off of the secondary bevel, I'm going to go here, and as you can see, I am cutting into the metal on the clamp. Same here, you can see the line. So this device doesn't pass the narrow dagger test, but worry not. No spoilers, but don't despair. XARILK Gen 3 next. I already found the edge angle, and now I'm checking to see if it interferes with the clamp. And sure as the day is light, it does. It so happens that currently I am testing a XARILK Y clamp that replaces the two clamps that you see here. And it has a feature that I think will remedy the situation. And here's this Y clamp installed. I'll probably have a video going over this device separately from this video. And while I truly believe it is not necessary to have it for 90% of your sharpenings, it came in handy today because it has this simple super feature, a downward slope at the edge of the clamp. So you can probably add this feature to any clamps, eliminating the need for this device, but I only paid $30 on Amazon as opposed to TSPROF's version for $88. You know, for a $58 difference, you can buy a 10-plate set of diamond plates from SY Tool and a decent angle finder. If the blade flexes too much, being that far out, you may consider using this magnetic-based jack screw that I devised, just to support the tip when you work on it. And speaking of the tip, because the angle changes when you sharpen a knife with a long straightaway and then pronounced belly toward the tip, no matter if it's a $60, $100, or $400 fixed angle sharpener you are using, you will run into this dilemma. What should you choose? Match the factory edge angle in the belly and end up with a much more obtuse angle in the straightaway, or set straightaway angle to a desired slicey low value, and you will end up with 12-degree angle in the belly area and a much wider edge. I did come up with some workarounds, but I felt like I'll be stuck with this dilemma forever. But then I discovered this thing, KetiPed. I'll tell you how it solves this problem later. For now, let's just talk about clamps. As you can see, I am definitely hitting the lips on the clamps as well, right there. Now, obviously, you could, if you find yourself doing this often, you could modify the clamps. I think there's enough strength there to take the angle down, just like it was on the Y clamp. The big question is, so this channel here is different from this rail right here. So obviously, I have no idea if this clamp will even fit, but I'm willing to try. So let's see if it will actually work, because that's designed to go over this T-shaped rail, and this is a full up channel. Huh! Check this out. This width is equal to the width of this channel on the outside. Let's see if we can tighten it up. Well, give me a second. I have to remove all this and set it up. It fits and it's solid. Solid fit, no issues. So it basically works on this channel just the same way as it works on TSPROF or XARILK T bracket. Okay, so here I am fully clamped. And let's see if we can find that angle. We are right on the bevel, and lo and behold, I am not scraping the end of the clamp. So that seems to be our solution. Okay, so here's how we're going to proceed. This knife has 4 secondary bevels, 4 edges, because it's a double-edged dagger. I marked each edge with the name of a sharpener with which I will sharpen this one edge, 1 out of 4. Let's see if any one of these stands out. For all 4 edges, the angle will be set at 17 degrees on a straightaway. The edge widens, as we discussed before, and this is WorkSharp Professional Precision Adjust. Next is TSPROF edge, and now I'm using TSPROF Kadet with a XARILK Y clamp installed on it, and I will use this Y clamp on the remaining devices as well. And here's how Kadet's edge looks after sharpening with 200, 400, and 600 grit plates. And of course, I use the same plates on the remaining devices. They all came with their own plates, but I find SY tool plates superior to all of them for several reasons, which I don't want to discuss right this minute. And here's the edge that was created using XARILK Gen 3. The experience of sharpening with this device is near identical to TSPROF. It feels a little sturdier, but TSPROF has more refined controls, I should say. But the result is basically the same. And finally, this is the edge that I put on with my new toy, KetiPed or KP. As you can see, I was able to keep continuous 17-degree angle through the entire length of the edge. How I was able to do it with this device is coming up later. For now, let's take some measurements. So let's look at the results. On this side, you have WorkSharp Professional Precision Adjust and TSPROF Kadet edges. So WorkSharp on a straightaway, the bevel width is 2.3 millimeters. And for TSPROF is just a hair wider. On the bevel near the tip, because I chose to set up my desired angle on a straightaway, let's get this measurement here. Almost double at 4.1 millimeter. And TSPROF coming up to basically the same measurements on the belly and in the straightaway. You know, when you do everything right, things turn out right. See how they actually meet correctly here. I'm kind of very pleased with that. Let's look on the opposite side. This is the XARILK, that's Gen 3, and the same width on the bevel toward the tip. And we got, what do we got here? We got a little bit, just 1/10 of a millimeter narrower on a straightaway. Don't know why. Could be that I didn't keep parallelity spot on when I clamped it. Which brings me to the last one, which was the KetiPed, or KP as I call it. And as you can see, the bevel here is right around the same dimension, just a little wider, 2.28 millimeter. And guess what? It's the same dimension at the tip. Now, there's a little variation right here because one can't match the radius of the belly perfectly. I may be able to explain why, but it just doesn't happen. But all in all, if you took a look at this edge, it's over consistent width and it has the consistent angle. The same 17 degrees. So what kind of superpower does this device have that others don't? I am about to show you. To help me better illustrate this capability, I brought in this White River Bushcraft knife with a very pronounced belly, much higher radius than on the dagger. And because I'm going to take the factory angle of 20 degrees down to 17 degrees, on a traditional fixed angle sharpener, I would end up with a very wide bevel, and it would get wider toward the tip. Instead of eyeballing it all in, I am sectioning off the belly. So I'm drawing a line from the tip to where the belly starts, where the curvature begins. And now I'm going to measure it. I think in millimeters it's easier. I got 50 millimeters, so I'm marking at 25 millimeters. And then I know that my plate holder width is 20 millimeters, so I'm marking 10 millimeter marks out from the center. So this is my center, and now I am going to draw a couple of lines at the right angle, one from the center, just as a guideline, and then another one from one of the symmetric marks. Just one is fine. And now I'm about to show you what makes KP so different from any other fixed angle sharpener. At the top of your screen, you can see that I can move the entire mast assembly, therefore shifting the pivot point on the gimbal that guides the rod. And that is critical to making a consistent single value angle along the entire span of the blade, whether it's on a straightaway or on the curvature of the belly. All I had to do is center the plate holder in the middle of the belly, aided by the lines I just drew, and lock it in place. And this way I can set the desired angle right in the middle of the belly, and that takes a lot of guesswork out. Yes, I was able to sort of kind of match that on a regular fixed blade sharpener in the past, but that required placing the blade at the awkward angle or pushing it out all the way to the extreme position out of the base of the sharpener. It was not trivial. Here's my brand new rechargeable now angle finder, very reasonably priced. I'm very happy about it. It has a couple of features that I like. Unfortunately, you can't see the screen. It's an amber color LED. On KP device, the clamp is always set at 15 degrees to the horizon. So all I have to do is add 2 degrees upward to achieve 17 degrees angle. And this device can actually go downward, so I can go all the way to 12-degree angles without any issues, and maybe even lower. And the deviation from end to end, from sharpening choil to the tip, is less than 1/2 of a degree. A skeptic would say, well, it's still not a constant angle, but because on this knife the behind the edge thickness is so low, the edge will be too narrow for human eye to notice. And if I really set out to make an exact angle everywhere in the blade, I could farther partition the radius of the belly and mark the mast positions on the slide. I'll do a video about that, I promise. For now, I am satisfied, and this is exactly what I did to achieve consistency on the Benchmade dagger edge. In the upcoming videos specific to the sharpener, I will get into every little detail. For now, please subscribe so you don't miss it. And don't forget the notification bell. My keen-eyed viewers probably noticed the addition of sharpening choils. These were inspired by what Microtech puts on their bayonet ground daggers. The reason they shape in that way is because typically sharpening choil does not belong on a combat knife, because traditional sharpening choil will catch on cloth during the extraction. What Microtech devised here is a sloped choil, which will facilitate smooth extraction, and that's what I replicated here. Even keener-eyed viewers observed that some of these edges aren't deburred. I did not take these grinds to their final state because in the end, I will have to put this knife back on one of these devices and match this shape of the bevel on this side. For me to do it the other way, for me to put it on KP and make it all the same width here, would mean removing way too much metal, and I just don't feel like doing it. I think the edge that looks like this is a lot more intimidating anyway, and that's not a bad thing on a combat knife. If you disagree or if you have concerns, let's discuss them in the comments in a civilized manner. By now, some of my more skeptical viewers are probably saying, well, clearly this guy is trying to sell us this new KetiPed Sharpener system. I am not, and it's okay to be a skeptic. This channel was created by the skeptic for the skeptics. So, good thinking, but that's not what I'm going to do. And very shortly, I'll explain you why this did not make my most recommended sharpening system for 2025. But first, let's recap. This was eliminated because it's just not serious. Not only it's kind of very beginner level set, but as a beginner, you will learn some bad habits trying to use it, especially if you don't apply my recommended changes to it. You definitely don't want that to be your pace setter for your sharpening hobby or career. And next, I'm clearly leading toward eliminating Worksharp Professional Precision Adjust. To be honest with you, for $250, then you still have to buy a universal plate holder to take advantage of much higher quality plates that are out there than what comes with the device. I just don't think it's a good idea. And again, modifications were required to just keep it stable, and you do need a blade support for probably 50% of your knives that you saw with magnetic jack screw, basically what I did. So I'm going to take that out as well. Now I am going to talk about why I'm eliminating KetiPed. Again, if you're a keen-eyed observer, you notice this thing here. What does it do? So unfortunately, this sharpener does not have a positive lock on the rotating head system here. You know, there's a very robust spring, which is great, and there's an adjustment for the tension, but at no point was I able to adjust it to such high tension that the play in this direction was eliminated. So I actually had to search high and low on Amazon, and I found this Vise block here, metal Vise, that can be adjusted, and it fits onto this device like so. And when I tighten it, very tight, I have to tighten it pretty good here, then it eliminates the side-to-side seesaw play. That was one issue. And the other issue, it comes with 6 sharpening plates, and they are of unknown composition. They look like a regular resin-bound metallic oxide plates. I did a sharpening. They held up pretty well. Even when I went to 3,000, this is not 3,000. I mean, it basically, once I got to 800 grit here, the rest of them just was a waste of time. I can grab a knife and show you real quick here. And it wasn't a very hard steel. It's, I believe, 14C. So I was trying to get as close to the mirror polish. It's not bad, but it's not going to get you there. So by no means you will be satisfied with the original factory set. And I don't know if it's a little bit of an intangible, but when you're sharpening with the diamond plates, you don't have to lubricate it, you don't have to wet it. There's no sludge, it's just a fine dust that comes off of the blade. And with these guys, you can actually smell that bounding resin, and makes my experience unpleasant. So I did end up using my SY tool plates. They fit just fine. And if you have more preferred plates, they will fit. This is a universal plate holder. But for these two reasons, I don't think this would be my most recommended. Now, if you already have plates and you don't mind spending what, like $8 for this clamp here, and you don't mind, removing it every time you need to flip the knife, and then putting it back, then yeah, it gives you some new options in your sharpening endeavors. But as far as recommending it outright, I don't think so. And that leaves us with these two guys, XARILK Gen 3 and TSPROF Kadet. There's a whole lot of people who bought this device and are very satisfied with it. So I don't blame you. It's a quality device. It's well made. It's very pleasant to operate, very smooth. Everything is smooth and everything feels premium. But once you clamp the knife, once you set the angle, now you're just sharpening. And I don't like the plate holder. This is not, so I'll compare to XARILK. I'll dare. XARILK plate holder, these two plates are aligned. So all you need to do is push it out and pop the plate in. With a TSPROF, I find myself always looking for this right position. It always ends up on the wrong side of the rod. And then there's not quite as much tension here. The spring is significantly shorter. The rest of it is mostly aesthetics. So this guy will do, if properly adjusted, again, I had to do a video on that, actually a couple of videos, because when I did the first one, I wasn't aware of every single feature. So this guy runs just as smooth now, and I didn't do any alterations. All I did is properly adjust the fasteners that are already there. And the rest of the capabilities are identical. And as I said, all the devices are interchangeable. So if you already spent money and supported Mother Russia's industry, good on you. But any kind of aftermarket stuff, you can find the same level of quality for less. If I had any business sense, I would definitely find a way to recommend TSPROF, because every time somebody would click and buy one of these, I would get a much more sizable commission. But I'm just not going to do it. I think for the money, any rational person who does not own this yet, or any other of these guys, would end up with a XARILK Gen 3. And that's why I'm going to call it my most recommendable sharpener for 2025. I've sharpened dozens of knives on this device. The only alteration, if you even call it that, I put these stop collars instead of the thumb screw collars that other devices have, and it came with one as well. I just think they work better, especially if you sharpen hard. And yes, I like this Y clamp, but I still haven't figured out why would I need it. There's absolutely no need to center the blade across from where the pivot of this thing is. Now, people are concerned probably with this being like a lower priced Chinese company. Is customer service okay? In the entire time, people bought hundreds of these using my link. And I mean hundreds over this year. Thank you, by the way, folks who did that using my link. I appreciate it. And I only heard two guys complain about how this bearing was inserted into the swivel gimbal. Everything else works fine. I manually cut off to make it be able to rest so it doesn't roll. And then when the XARILK people saw my video talking about it, within weeks, they started shipping these devices with two flat cuts that sit on the table without rolling off. Two times where people complain about the gimbal, both times when they contacted the company took care of this issue immediately. So go check out those videos, and all the comments, you can find them in there. So I hope this video was helpful to you, especially if you're in the market, if you're shopping, if you're being smart and watching this type of videos before you bought something. And if you're already a techie with any other of the systems that I showed you, be advised, for Work Sharp, I have a few very well watched, very well appreciated videos on how to get the maximum performance out of those devices, as well as XARILK itself. All the adjustments, all the setups, there are videos on my channel about that. Now, I appreciate you watching. Click my logo to subscribe if you haven't done so, and have a blessed day.